I'm Jizeth.
I'm Erla, and today we'll be discussing the
Distance formula.
So the first thing we need to know about the distance formula is its meaning. So the distance formula is a variation of the Pythagorean theorem. This formula is used to find a distance between 2 points, x and y. So here's the formula, as you can see, and the expression x sub 2 minus y. The expression x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is read as the change in x, and the expression y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is read as the change in y. Do not be confused by the subscripts. The 1 and 2 only indicate that there is a first and second point. Whichever you want to use as the first or second point is up to you. Just be sure to remain consistent. The distance will be the same regardless.
Okay, so now, the way you read the distance formula would be d, or distance, is equals to the square root of change in x squared plus change in y squared. So now that you've got that down, let's go to our examples. So for our first example, we have to find the distance between the points -3 and 2 and 3 and 5. So the first thing we need to do is we have to label the parts of the points which we think would be our x sub 1 and our y sub 1 and our x sub 2 and our y sub 2. So in this problem, if we let -3 and 2 be the first point, then it will take the subscript of 1. Thus, x sub 1 is equal to -3 and y sub 1 is equal to -2. Similarly, if 3 and 5 be our second point, it will have the subscript of 2. Thus, x sub 2 is equal to 3 and y sub 2 is equal to 5. So the next step is to calculate. So you should always have your distance formula with you, so it will be easier for you to calculate. Next thing we have to do is we have to substitute. So it would be 3 minus -3 squared plus 5 minus 2 squared. Now that you've substituted the terms, all you have to do next is to simplify. So 3 minus 3, if there are two negatives consecutively, all you have to do is to change it into positive. So now 3 minus -3 will become 3 plus 3, which is equal to 6. Plus 5 minus 2, which is equal to 3. So now what you've got is the square root of 6 squared plus 3 squared. So now let's simplify your exponents. 6 squared is equal to 36, and 3 squared is equal to 9. Now when you add those two together, you will get 45. So our answer would be d is equal to the square root of 45. Here in this picture, you can see that the 2 points are already plotted. Here you can see -3 and 2 and 3 and 5. So now let's first see where your change in x takes you to. So from here, as you can see, 3 minus -3 is equal to positive 6. So that means you have to move to the right if your answer is positive. So we're going to move 6 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we're going to be in this point. Similarly, in change in y, let's have 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. So that means you have to move 3 places up from where we were. So from this point, from where you got your change in x, you have to move 3 steps up. 1, 2, 3, and you see, we've made the triangle between these 2 points. So now let us calculate the distance. So as what we've gotten earlier, our distance is 3 square root of 5. If we want to be more exact, then you can plug these values in your calculator and see which it will lead to. So in this case, our distance is equal to 3 square root of 5, or it can also be 6.71.
So this is for our example number 2. Find the distance between the points -1 and -1 and 4 and -5. The first step is that to label which of the points would be x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, y sub 2. If we let -1 and -1 be the first point, then it will take the subscript of 1. Thus, x sub 1 is equal to -1 and y sub 1 is equal to -1. Similarly, if 4 and -5 be the second point, it will have the subscript of 2. Thus, x sub 2 equals 4 and y sub 2 equals -5. So once you plug these values in and calculate, this is how it would be. So first, you'll need your distance formula, and then you plug in the values. And similarly, just as like the first example, you do the same thing, you simplify, and then in the end, you would eventually get the square root of 41. So here is the graph of our example number 2. So we have the points that's given, which is -1, -1, and 4, and -5. So we plot those points, and using the distance we got, we connect them, and that would be the square root of 41. But if you wanted to make it as accurate, you could just plug this into your calculator, and eventually you'd get 6.40.
So once again, I'm Jizeth.
And I'm Erla.
And I hope you guys learned something about our lesson, which is
The
distance formula.
Yes.